Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Garrett, and I am a programming librarian at the Cedar Rapids Public Library. When you think of a librarian, what do you think of? Be honest, it's fine. Do you think of the stereotypical librarian with the bun, the glasses down their nose? Maybe they're the ones that are going, shh. Well, that's not what libraries are about anymore. In fact, libraries are so dynamic and vibrant that sort of library doesn't hardly exist anymore. When I was young, I started out by visiting my local library. I was definitely the teen that brought all of her friends to the library, and we maybe weren't the best kids that ever existed while we were there. But eventually, the librarian there talked to me about starting a teen advisory board. We got to help make decisions, we helped to plan the programs that were available, and we really got to take ownership of the library. From there, I started working at 16 at the library, and then I worked there for 4 more years. Yes, until I was done with my community college and moved on. After I left my first job, I went into the academic library setting, where I worked in the government documents. Now, that is a job that is very boring. Yeah, it's also very fascinating. Um, you get to see old bookmarks, puzzles from NASA. You get to see posters of Smokey the Bear when Smokey was originally founded. All sorts of crazy things in the government documents. From there, I had started my master's degree at this point and got a job at the academic library as a reference librarian. And so I worked there. I also worked at another library at the same time as a shelver and then moved up to being a page from there. When I graduated with my master's degree, I interviewed at a few different libraries before getting the job here at the Cedar Rapids Public Library, where I am a programming librarian and do programming primarily for teens. What is a librarian? A librarian is an information professional. We're educators, performers, we're IT help, we are problem solvers, we're lifelong learners, and we're readers. That's more of a pretty picture version of what a librarian is. Let's talk more about what I do. I am a specialized type of librarian, and I am what's called a programming librarian. And that means that I create programs for the library. I create programs that are fun, educational. We do outreach with the community, and what that means is we go to different locations that aren't in the library. We work with our community partners, different school organizations, Workplace Learning Connection, Four Oaks. Those are community partners. We also do a lot of things in the building, of course. One of the things that I do is answer research questions. I work with technology, teaching computer classes and things. I also provide reader's advisory. And so that's when a patron comes in and says, I'm looking for this book. And I say, well, can you tell me a little bit about the book? And then we find the book together based on their answers. The other thing is that we do is we work with the public daily. So not all librarians are going to work with the public, but since I work in a public library, that is part of my job. We answer questions, we check out books, we help people find what they're looking for, all sorts of great things in the public library. So what jobs are available in a library? Well, of course, there is being a librarian, but there are different types of librarians even within a public library. I am a programming librarian, but there are also librarians who are materials librarians. There are public service librarians who just strictly work with the public. There is research to be done with reference librarians, things like that. Then you have our public service team. There are public service specialists and public service associates. Those are the people that are on the front lines. They are the ones that work with the public daily. They help people print, they help people check out, they help people work the parking meters, and they take questions day in, day out. They are the front face of the library. We also have shelvers. These are people who shelve our materials. We circulate over 1 million different items every single year, and the shelvers are vital to this operation. Without them, it wouldn't happen. We also have IT professionals. We have an entire team that is just IT. And so they make sure that all of our technology keeps running and is up to date. We have a graphic designer who puts out our promotional materials each quarter, and sometimes more than that. So there's that option as well. Marketing is another big part of the library world, where we have to be able to market to people outside of our library. And so that's an option. There are other options too that aren't paid professions within the library, like being a board member. Being a board member helps you to make decisions with the library and for the library. It's a huge part, an essential part of a library and their staff. There is also the opportunity to be a volunteer, and there's a huge volunteer corps here at the library. I suggest that if you plan on going to library school, that you try out one of these things before, especially volunteering before you get to library school, just to make sure that it's something that you really like. So I talk about public libraries. There are different types of libraries. Public, of course, means that we work with the public. The second is academic libraries. Academic libraries are those libraries at colleges or universities. They are usually more for research. They're usually for those students that are on the campus. Usually, librarians in this field have a lot of education, 2 or 3 master's degrees in various fields that they are experts on. Another type of library is a school library. This is where your teacher librarians or media specialists are. If you are at a school right now or have been to your school library lately, you will know who those people are. The last set of libraries is private or special libraries. These are libraries that are just for a certain function. And what I mean by that is, think about like a doctor's office. There might be a librarian on staff who researches for the doctors and nurses in that hospital. Or at the University of Iowa, they have a special collection that is rare books and materials, and so that is a special library. I think it's really funny when people ask me what it takes to be a librarian, because they're always astonished that you need a master's degree to be a librarian. There are many jobs in the library, but to be a librarian, you do need your master's degree. The first thing you need to get, though, is that high school diploma. The next thing you need is your bachelor's degree. Your bachelor's degree can be in anything that you want it to be. You could do biology, you could do archaeology. I chose English. You could do education if you're looking at that teacher librarian track. As long as you have a bachelor's degree, you can take that next step to getting your master's degree. After you get your master's degree, you are officially a librarian, but you might need certain state licenses or additional certifications depending on where you want to take your librarianship. When you think about becoming a librarian, there are definitely some skills that you need to keep in mind. One of them, for sure, is organization. You need to be organized. You need to be able to manage your time well. A lot of our job is working independently. Though we do a lot of collaborating within our teams, we present most of our programs on our own. You need to be creative. You need to be able to think outside of the box and be a problem solver. So when that patron comes up to you and is having that bad day and all they want to do is yell at you, you have to figure out, how can I help them even though this is not a great situation for me? You have to be able to figure out, if your presenter doesn't show up for their program that day, you have to be able to figure out, well, what happens next? How am I going to entertain these 100 people that showed up to see this presenter? So These are all things that you need to do when you're a librarian, skills that you will utilize. In a more technical sense, you need to have many different literacies under your belt. Information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy. There is not a day that goes by that we are not learning a new form of technology. We are always interacting with a new type of media, and information is always changing. So that's something you have to be super passionate about as an information professional. The last thing is that you definitely need to have social skills to work with people, the public, but also to work with your coworkers, because it is a team effort a lot of the time in the behind the scenes. It's always changing, it's always new information, and so you just have to be on your toes and use those soft skills, those people skills, and just always keep learning. Be a lifelong learner. You probably still have a few questions. So here are some commonly asked ones. The first one, definitely on everyone's mind, is how much do you make? Well, that is a varied question. So what I mean by that, a library, especially a public library, not all libraries, we talked about those different types, but a public library is part of the government. We are funded by the city. So depending on your city, depending on the size of your city, and depending on how people vote, that is how much money that the library is able to have in their budget. That budget covers everything from purchasing books to having staff. So your budget includes staff, and again, depending on your city size, that is how you determine how much you make. I have seen, we will go with a director's salary, okay? So the director is the highest person in the organization. They are the one that makes all the decisions. I have seen a director's salary as low as $30,000, and I have seen a director's salary as high as $160,000. So it really, really depends. For librarians, we're kind of right in that mid-range a lot of the time, around probably, I would say, $40,000 to $60,000 is what you can expect. The job market is not an easy one. It is definitely saturated, and sometimes it is difficult to find a job. But keep your head up. If you're really passionate about this, just keep looking for those jobs. They do come around. Another commonly asked question might be, what will your hours look like? Hours are very, very dependent on your position and your job description. So in programming, we usually have at least one night, and then we work a lot of weekends to do our programming things. If you are more of the floor staff and those public service specialists, you're going to work nights, weekends, all sorts of stuff. If you're the graphic designer, well, you probably work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 sort of situation. There are definitely some challenges to being a librarian. One of them right now, especially in a broad sense, is the outlook for the career. Nobody really knows what this career path has for the future. All we know is that we work daily to make sure that we are addressing any needs that the community has, making sure that we stay relevant, and making sure we always are meeting the next challenge ahead. So the career path is definitely uncertain and changes daily, I would say. One of the day-to-day challenges that we face, I would say, especially being in the public sphere, is working with the public. You never know who's going to come in. You never know what their question's going to be, and you never know if they're in a good mood, if they're in a bad mood. It's always a very interesting environment. One of the things that I really love about it, though, is that you get to take the time to change that person's outlook for the day. You get to try and help them find that book that they're looking for. You get to help them answer that technology question that's been bugging them for the last couple days. You get to help them with a stress in their life, and usually that leads to a good interaction. We always have great stories that we tell each other about patrons that we meet. Just the other night I was in, and there was a gentleman that came in at 5 minutes to close. And of course, we're all busy cleaning. We're all busy trying to make sure the library is ready for the next day. And he came in looking for books. So you can take that and you can be like, oh, no, I hate it when people come in last minute. I wish this guy would just leave. But instead, what I did is I took the time and I said, hey, how can I help you? What are you looking for today? And we ended up having a really great conversation about how he was looking for fantasy books and he loved playing Dungeons and Dragons just like I do. So it turned out to be a really great experience. And he came back the next day having already read one of the books that I had selected for him. One of the things I really love about this job is how creative I get to be when I'm working. I get to plan things that I'm excited about. I get to experience all types of different programs, from the Renaissance Fair to New Year's Eve to the teen camps that I host that go anywhere from building your own escape room to living on the Oregon Trail, things like that. And it's just every day is a new day. Every day I get to meet somebody different. It's really an exciting career where there's just never-ending possibilities. A lot of people think that being a librarian means that you're stuck behind a desk and you're stamping books, but it is truly an innovative field that is changing every single day.